When you think of powerful duos, you might think of Batman and Robin, or maybe peanut butter and jelly, but in Southern Africa, there's another partnership that's making big moves, and it doesn't involve capes or a lunchbox. I'm talking about Zimbabwe and South Africa. Their trade relationship is more than just a friendly wave across the Limpopo River. It's a massive economic engine. For the 2024 to 2025 financial year, the value of this two-way trade is absolutely staggering, landing somewhere between $3.4 billion and $4.2 billion. That's not pocket change, that's the kind of money that builds economies and creates opportunities for millions of people on both sides of the border. This isn't a new friendship, but it's one that is definitely getting stronger. If we look at the numbers from last year, we can see a very clear trend. Trade between these two neighbours jumped by a solid 8% from the 2023 financial year to 2024. What's causing this growth? It's a mix of things. The prices for minerals, which Zimbabwe has a lot of, have been going up. At the same time, the world is demanding more of Zimbabwe's high-quality tobacco and gold. This increased demand means more goods are flowing south, filling up trucks and trains and ultimately strengthening the economic bond that these two nations share. Think of it like a neighborhood economy. One neighbor has a fantastic garden and grows the best vegetables, while the other neighbor is a brilliant mechanic who can fix any car. They don't need to go far to get what they need, they just help each other out. This is what's happening on a much larger scale between Zimbabwe and South Africa. Their economies are connected in a way that helps both of them grow. This relationship is not just based on history or geography, it's built on a solid foundation of mutual need and economic common sense, creating a powerful synergy that benefits the entire region. This partnership has become so important that it is now a cornerstone of regional stability. When trade flows smoothly, it means jobs are more secure, businesses can plan for the future, and governments have a more reliable source of revenue. The consistent growth in trade volume shows that both countries are committed to making this work. It's a win-win situation where one country's success directly contributes to the other's prosperity. This isn't just about moving boxes from one place to another. It's about building a shared future where everyone has a better chance to succeed. So what exactly are these two countries sending to each other? Let's start with Zimbabwe. For the 2024 fiscal year, Zimbabwe's exports to South Africa were valued at around $2.1 billion to $2.2 billion. Zimbabwe is like a treasure chest of natural resources. It sends a huge amount of minerals southward, including precious gold, platinum and nickel. More recently, lithium, the metal that powers our electric cars and smartphones, has become a massive export. On top of that, Zimbabwe is famous for its high-quality tobacco, which is in high demand. These raw materials are the foundation of Zimbabwe's export economy, making it a critical supplier for its southern neighbour. Now let's look at what South Africa is putting in the shopping cart and sending north. South Africa's exports to Zimbabwe are valued between $1.2 billion and $2.0 billion. Unlike Zimbabwe's raw materials, South Africa primarily sells finished goods. This includes big-ticket items like cars, trucks and heavy machinery used in mining and farming. It also sends essential chemical products and a lot of processed foods that you would find on supermarket shelves. From breakfast cereals to cooking oil, many of the products in Zimbabwean stores come from South African factories. This makes Zimbabwe a vital market for South Africa's manufacturing industry. The beauty of this trade relationship is how well the two economies complement each other. It's a perfect match. Zimbabwe has the raw materials that South Africa's advanced industries need to produce goods. South Africa, in turn, has the factories and industrial capacity to create the finished products that Zimbabwe's consumers and businesses require. It's a classic case of supply and demand working in perfect harmony across a border. One country provides the ingredients and the other bakes the cake. This complementary nature ensures that the trade is not just a one-way street, but a balanced exchange. This exchange creates a cycle of economic activity that benefits everyone involved. The minerals from Zimbabwe are often processed in South Africa before being sold to the rest of the world, adding value and creating jobs in South Africa's industrial centers. Meanwhile, the machinery exported from South Africa helps Zimbabwe's mining and agricultural sectors become more efficient, allowing them to produce even more. This interconnectedness means that when one economy does well, it creates positive ripple effects for the other, making their partnership a powerful driver of regional development and a model for intra-African trade. While this trade is a win-win, South Africa gets some particularly significant benefits from this relationship. For starters, the trade with Zimbabwe makes a real measurable contribution to South Africa's overall economy. In 2024, it was estimated that this partnership added about 0.5% to South Africa's gross domestic product. Now, 0.5% might not sound like a huge number, but when your country's GDP is around $405 billion, that 0.5% translates into billions of dollars. This is a steady and reliable boost that supports South Africa's economic health and stability, proving that good neighbours can also be great for business. Beyond the GDP numbers, Zimbabwe is a huge and dependable customer for South African businesses. Think about all the big South African retail chains, like Shoprite and Pick n Pay. Many of them have a significant presence in Zimbabwe, selling products that are made or sourced from South Africa. This provides a massive export market for South Africa's manufactured goods, keeping its factories running and its workers employed. The relationship also supports thousands of jobs in logistics, from the truck drivers who cross the border every day to the port workers in Durban who handle goods destined for Zimbabwe. South Africa also plays a crucial role as the region's primary logistics hub, and it earns a lot of money from it. Because Zimbabwe is a landlocked country, most of its exports and imports have to pass through South African ports like Durban and Richards Bay. Every container that moves through these ports generates revenue for South Africa. The country's extensive road and rail networks are essential for moving Zimbabwean goods, like its valuable minerals, to global markets. This strategic position as a gateway to the world for its neighbour is a major economic advantage for South Africa. Finally, South Africa benefits by adding value to the raw materials it imports from Zimbabwe. For example, it might import raw platinum or lithium and then process it in South African refineries before re-exporting it at a much higher price to countries like China. This process of value addition is where the real money is made. It allows South Africa to leverage its industrial strength to profit from Zimbabwe's natural wealth. This entire ecosystem, from retail and logistics to manufacturing and processing, shows just how deeply the economic fortunes of South Africa are tied to its strong trading relationship with Zimbabwe. The world of international trade is always changing, and recent events have made the Zimbabwe-South Africa partnership more important than ever. In April 2025, the United States introduced new tariffs, which are basically taxes on imported goods. These tariffs hit South Africa particularly hard, with a new tax of 31% on its exports to the United States. Zimbabwe also got hit with an 18% tariff. When a major trading partner like the United States makes it more expensive to do business, countries naturally start looking for new markets closer to home. These tariffs are pushing Zimbabwe and South Africa to trade even more with each other to make up for the losses. At the same time, new friends are entering the picture. China has become a major economic partner for many African nations. At a summit in September 2024, China promised to invest over $50 billion in Africa, focusing on things like infrastructure and clean energy. This is great news for Zimbabwe, especially with China's huge appetite for lithium to build batteries for electric cars. As Zimbabwe's mining sector booms with Chinese investment, most of those minerals will flow through South Africa, creating more business for its ports and logistics companies. It's a clear sign that global shifts are strengthening regional ties. This focus on regional trade is a smart move. Relying too much on faraway partners can be risky, as the new United States tariffs have shown. By strengthening trade within Africa, countries can create a more stable and self-sufficient economic bloc. The partnership between Zimbabwe and South Africa is a perfect example of this. They are not just trading goods, they are building a resilient regional economy that is less vulnerable to the political and economic decisions made in Washington or other far-off capitals. It's about taking control of their own economic destiny. In conclusion, the trade relationship between Zimbabwe and South Africa is more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a dynamic partnership that creates jobs, supports industries, and contributes significantly to the economic health of both nations. As global trade patterns shift with new tariffs from some and new investments from others, the bond between these two neighbors is set to become even more critical. By working together, they are not only navigating the challenges of a changing world, but are also building a more prosperous and interconnected future for Southern Africa.